hyperbole, extreme exaggeration. Well, let's hope this bloke is exaggerating. Have a listen. He's some character over in the States. Just have a listen to what he has to say.
I have the distinct honor to be able to come before you and say I actually lost white population in my community. I lost them. They left. They left. I didn't ask them why. They left. So if you see 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 whites in my neighborhood, they're passing through.
I mean, this is disgusting,
wow.
James.
Well,
disgusting.
you know, this guy...
But this is what racial division does, by the way, Albo. This is what you're bringing to Australia, that sort of attitude with your racist voice.
Well, this guy, Rowan, is a New York City councilman, so, you know, that tells you a lot about him right there. He's in the great tradition of these sort of race-baiting hucksters like Al Sharpton and everybody else who New York City has produced. This was at a forum on gentrification, which is apparently a bad thing when the neighborhood, you know,
gets better.
The income increases. And so they say, and then it's really quite a racist assumption that he's making that somehow, you know, race is connected to income. That's the end logic of it. It's actually quite racist. He's being racist against black people.
But beyond that, can I don't know, hazard a couple of guesses of why the gentrification in his neighbourhood has stalled? Could it be soaring crime? Could it be that people don't feel safe, whatever colour they happen to be? So to be actually proud of that, to be trumpeting the fact that, you know, white people are fleeing the neighbourhood, can you imagine if the reverse was said? You know, we made the blacks scared and they left, and now there's, you know, if you see any black people, they're just passing through. It's just abhorrent.
You know, and having lived through some of the worst times in modern New York City history before Rudy Giuliani became mayor, and when Rudy Giuliani came in and became mayor and implemented his tough-on-crime policies, the broken windows theory, all of that stuff, and the neighborhoods became safe again, and the people who did best out of that were poor people living in not good neighborhoods that were crime-ridden because the criminals finally got put in jail because there weren't Democrats in power.
And the same happened in 2020 with the BLM riots, defund the police movement. The communities that suffered the most were the poor black communities that need the police more than any other. And so these movements always hurting the most vulnerable.
Absolutely. In London, just very quickly, that ULEZ thing we've spoken about, that's the ultra-low emission zone. They've tried extending it. We're not advocating for this sort of vandalism, as it were, but there are people who are actually getting out now and tearing these cameras down. So everyday citizens have had enough of this sort of Orwellian thing where their car is monitored and the license plate's recorded, and they register emissions and so on, and fine you accordingly. So if you go through the wrong neighbourhoods, it's pure Orwellian. It's 1984, and people are rising up against it. Is the point.